praise to you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth. For although you have hidden these things from the wise and the learned, you have revealed them to the childlike. Yes, Father, such has been your gracious will. All things have been handed over to me by my Father. No one knows the Father except no one knows the Son except the Father. And no one knows the Father except the Son, and anyone to whom the Son wishes to reveal him. The Gospel of the Lord. Knowledge of God our Father begins with knowledge, familiarity, friendship with his Son, Jesus Christ. For it is he who reveals the face of the Father to us in a human way, in a way which we can comprehend and absorb. We know that God is spirit, that he is totally other. We know that he has created all things, and that all things are kept in existence by him. And so, in this sort of abstract concept, it's really difficult to relate to him as the God of love. It is Jesus that shows us this, and he tells us that it requires from us a certain openness, a certain innocence, an attitude that is childlike, that is not governed by what has happened, what is visible and can be touched and seen, but by that sense of wonder and surprise and just joy that is so characteristic of children. Not to be childish in the sense of immature, set on things, creating a little scene like a child who wants candy. But that aspect of childhood that allows for that which is invisible, that which allows for the capacity of surprise and wonder. My dad, once taking care of one of his grandchildren, one of my nephews, had taken him to the Mission San Luis Rey, where he served as a deacon down in San Diego. And somewhere along the line after Mass, it was like Jesus in the temple depicted in the last painting here in the church. My mom thought that the kid was with him, and he thought the little boy was with her. When they exchanged notes and realized that he's not there at all, they go crazy, and he's looking for him, and he's upset because he was obviously very curious, inquisitive, and tended to wander away on his own. Anyway, he wanders, looking all over the church, and finds him in front of one of the side altars in the mission, in front of this beautiful painting, and there were all these votive candles lit. And he was really ready to let that kid have it, because he was so scared and so frightened. that something had happened to him. And he's just standing there. And he calls him, and he turns to him with this face of sheer amazement and wonder, looking at those candles and the painting, and he says, "Have you ever seen anything more beautiful?" Well, of course, that melted Grandpa. But I mean, that story that my dad told me sort of sums up this gospel for me. The sense of wonder and amazement. This ability to be surprised at God's goodness and action in our life. And this innocence, which we celebrate in a way on this feast of St. Caterina Tekakwitha, the flower of the Mohawks. She suffered greatly at age 4, being left fatherless and motherless by the smallpox that had devastated her tribe and that left her permanently disfigured. She's always depicted as this beautiful Indian princess. That was far from the truth. And the truth was that she experienced rejection within her own community, rejection after she became a Christian and was baptized by missionaries, but always retained that purity, that innocence, which she received from her faith. And in the midst of all of her life's troubles, she was still childlike, trusting and loving God. May we be inspired by these readings and by God's grace to live with that same sense of amazement and wonder at his love and his care. This God who is totally other and yet calls Moses by his name and knows each one of us by name and invites us into a relationship with him. May we be blessed always with that faith, innocence, trust, and purity that being childlike calls us to.